Are we filming? Yes, we are. Welcome to another video. This is a bit random, but it might be one of the most important videos I ever make. Let me explain. I have two sizes of personal organizer here. These two both happen to be made by Filofax, well-known brand as we know, but there are other brands available. But the beauty of it is, as we know, everything's flexible. And I want to talk about that flexibility from the point of view of choosing an agenda and a diary for your binder, which you can pick any size, can't you? From A4 or even bigger, all the way down to mini size, which is these ones. Okay. But how you do that? There are so many possible permutations. If you go to the Filofax site, you can get a mini diary or a calendar or agenda. Normally it's comes in a pack of loose sheets that's covering typically a calendar year, or it might be covering an academic year, or it might be, I'm not sure. I don't know whether there are any other permutations, but you can get several permutations, can't you? You can get day per page, 2 days to a page, a week on 2 pages, a week on 1 page, etc. I mean, the list is not necessarily endless, but the agonizing over which diary format to pick is perhaps endless, at least for me, because I've been picking these for 32 years now, 31 of them using a Filofax, and I'm always searching for the ideal diary that is convenient, as portable as possible, as lightweight as possible, and one that is fun to use. And I am constantly changing formats. A few years ago, I even had a day to a page in an A4, which is it's overkill. I know it's ridiculous, but that's the way it is. And then I went through a period of retirement. I retired about 10 years ago. Can't believe I've been retired for 10 years now, but there was a period where I wasn't doing much, and then I drifted into personal size diary, and then there was a period when I was using Pocket, maybe about 10 years ago. When I retired, I thought I'd go down to a Pocket Kensington, and I still own it, but I don't use it as an EDC, an everyday carry. But then I found myself entering the difficulty, and I have bought, over the last 12 months, I have bought two types of week on 2 pages with a personal size. I've tried Monday Start, Sunday Start, and I've also inherited diaries from binders that I've bought. I recently bought a Malden, and that had a diary. I recently bought, is it here? No, it's downstairs, a Filofax Heritage Compact, and that had a week on 2 pages. Very nice paper, cotton cream paper, lovely. The GSM's a little bit too much for me, because it means the higher the GSM, the fewer the sheets of paper you can fit in your binder. But I can only talk about what I'm using now, and I just want to share with you my latest iteration of this search for the paper-based productivity equivalent of the Holy Grail, and that is a diary, a paper-based diary or agenda or calendar that works for me. And I want to show you the one that I am trying. It's partly because I recently acquired a plotter. I'm not going to talk about a plotter per se, but those of you that are regular viewers, you know that I'm excited about my plotter, because I have got a thing about flatability, and the plotter is designed for flatability, whereas, shall we say, some binders from other manufacturers, sometimes well-known manufacturers, don't have any flatability at all, which is quite a shock, but there we go. But the flatability is good. So it just so happens that I'm using the plotter as a diary at the moment, and I want to share with you what I'm doing with it, a little bit about it anyway, because I don't want to go on too long, because there is a limit, isn't there, as to how much we can talk about this sort of thing. But I want to show you just basically what it is, what I'm doing, and then I want to tell you the advantages that I think are linked to the way I'm doing things. But let me show you the diary. And I'm not going to have the tabletop camera going on, because it's easy enough to show you here. So in here I have, as you can probably deduce by the date there, there's a date there, and then there's another date there. So I have a page, a day per page, so that you turn it over, and then that's another, on one sheet there are 2 days, but it's a day per page in a mini size, and it's homemade. I cut these myself. There's 8 sheets cut from an A4 piece of paper, and I just trim them by about 0.5 centimetre down this length, so they are effectively almost identical to the mini size that you typically find in a Filofax personal organiser today. And what I've done is I've used, by aligning, I've drawn these lines with a Pilot G2, and I found it useful to draw them, the squares, if you like. And I've spoken about these squares before in my to-do lists. I find that a to-do list where you divide it into squares or oblong rectangles, and put one to-do in each of these boxes, and then once you've completed them, draw a single line through them, so that you can see that it's complete, but you haven't defaced it so much that you can't see what you actually did. And I am now, recently actually, very, very recently, I thought, do you know what? I wonder whether this, I really like the aesthetics of the hand-cut paper, and there are other advantages too why I do this. Hand-cut paper, hand-drawn lines, freehands, no wasting time with the ruler, just generally equidistant. And in this case, I'm using I just find it I know it's serendipitous, but it's just so happens that these lines work well with the 5 rings. So there's a guide there. So it's free hands drawn. And then you'll notice something. There is a heavier line here. So you've got 4 boxes here, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes underneath. And this is the top of the page. So what are the 4 boxes at the top for? And this is purely an experiment. It might change, but I'm really, really interested in what you think about my design and layout. I know that a lot of you, there are a lot of videos out there showing setup and moving into my Filofax personal organiser, that sort of thing. And I quite like those. But this is similar, I suppose. Sharing with you that I am doing something slightly different to the norm. But I'm mindful to do with this simple system is to have a heavier line here. So you've got 4 boxes at the top, and those 4 boxes are for appointments. They are for immovable appointments. Well, you could cross them out and rewrite them, or redraw the whole page. So that's very flexible. But in my experience, I've never had more than 4 appointments in a day. I don't think I've had more than 3, certainly since I've been retired. And so that's enough for me. So what are these 8 boxes here for? Bearing in mind I have to-do lists. I have a to-do list for things that I need to do immediately. And I have one that's, I really need to do them, but not so much. And then I have 2 lesser categories. And they're ordered in order of urgency. Very urgent to all the way down to not really urgent, bordering on someday maybe. But I don't have a someday maybe, because on my someday maybe list, if I had one, I'd have maybe 2,000 or 3,000 things, and it would fill a whole book like this. So I don't have someday maybe in here. So what do I have here? Well, these are things where they are reminders to check something. I might, for instance, I've bought on eBay recently, as an example, a very, very nice binder, a Filofax personal organizer. Didn't arrive. After 3 weeks, both the seller and myself decided that a refund was probably. I always give sellers the benefit of the doubt and leave it a little bit longer. But after 3 weeks, clearly the item was lost in the post. Presumably the gentleman did actually post it, and they weren't pulling a fast one. But he refunded me. And so what I did was I used one of these boxes at the appropriate page at some point in the future, a week in the future, and I just put check for refund here. So it's not something that is of absolute importance, but I really need to, it's something I need to do that day. So you've got appointments and you've got things that you ought to do or even think about here. And this is working really well. I've been doing it for a few weeks. I like it. I like it a lot. If you're wondering how much I have got in here in terms of capacity, how many days are in here, I'll tell you. I like to leave stuff in here to refer back, because I find that very, very useful to look back and, oh, did I do that last week or the week before? So what I tend to do here, there are 80 sheets in here. Do the maths. 80 sheets. And amongst those 80 sheets are 3 months of day per page. A month of day per page is basically 15 sheets. So 3 months is 45 sheets. And then I've got a remaining 35 sheets where there are a handful of sheets for my to-do lists, and the rest is blank paper. Because for me, when I might have just this one diary in my pocket, if I go to the shops or go out for a meal with a friend, I always have something with me. And since I bought this plotter, I promised I wouldn't go on about it, but it's a lovely thing. And so this has become my EDC. I am neglecting my Guildford Mini Extra Slim, even though it's such a wonderful thing. But it has become my EDC, but don't tell anyone. So I've got a few sheets for my to-do. I've got 45 sheets with my 3 months of diary. So a month that has just gone and 2 months that have yet to arrive. So effectively I've got a 60-day diary with a 30-day in arrears, if you like, 90 days in total. And if there is anything that needs to be jotted down more in advance of 2 months, then I can just jot it down on one of the blank sheets, and then I can put it on my Apple calendar app, which I love, and it is on my, where is my mobile phone? Downstairs. And then it appears on my mobile phone. So if you like, when I'm out, I've got my mobile phone and I've got this, and I've got lots of real estate to write things down, either appointments or things that I need to think about on this particular day. So maybes, if you like. Do it today, maybe. That's probably the best thing to describe. And I've got shock horror. Perish the thought. I've got 1 foot in the digital world where I can look as far ahead, as many years as I like, and I can jot something down for the future. How do I move things from the Apple Calendar app to here, well, once a day I go into it at that point, 60 days in advance, and I have a look. Oh, there's something that I need to add here. So I just add it on the fresh page, because effectively, not every day, but I'm basically doing it in batches of 8, because I take a single sheet of paper, cut it into 8 pages, 8 sheets, put it in here. So I actually have, let me see if I've got one to show you. Let me see. Okay. The last one says times 8 plus reminder. And effectively, that means it's time to cut one sheet into 8 pieces, add them here, and then remove 8 sheets that I've already done from the days that I have completed. So it typically goes from 34 days in arrear to 26, then 34 days in arrear and 26, and a similar arrangement with the diary that is yet to come. And I'm finding that really, really good. And as you can appreciate, if you just cut, I just fold it twice and then punch and then cut, and then I add them, and I can draw all the lines, both sides, 8 sheets, that's 16 pages, and I can do it with one maybe when I'm having a coffee, once every 16 days. Sorry, what am I talking about? Yeah, 16 days. I did make a mistake. I'm hovering between +8 and -8, +8 and -8. That's right. Sorry, not +8 and +4. And once every 16 days, I get my pen, cut 8 sheets, make 16 fresh days, shove them in here. Just like that. Very, very easy. Only takes a few minutes. It takes a cup of coffee to do it once every 16 days. And it's not in position, but it's working quite well. I love it. And if you're wondering what the paper is, this paper is 50 GSM Clairefontaine paper. Very nice, very good value. I'm paying about £10. The last pack of 500 A4 sheets cost me £10 on Amazon, because I couldn't get it at my local store. I do try and get things locally if I can, but you know, I know Amazon is a contentious issue, but I'm upfront about it. I bought it from Amazon, and I am a bookseller on Amazon as well for my sins. I have been for many years, so I can't you know, I can't knock the company that is providing me with a certain living. So 50 GSM A4 Clairefontaine paper, cut into 8 pieces and then put in here. Now, Plotter say in their paperwork that this 11mm binder, and they're all 11mm, this will take, of their own paper, their design fill paper, which is 60 GSM, very nice paper, so I'm told, but quite expensive and not available in the UK. That's 60 GSM, and this has a capacity of 80 sheets. So what I've got in here is 80 sheets of 50 GSM, plus I have one or two, I've got, for instance, a see-through, this is actually a pocket, a plastic pocket that was A4, and I've cut it down and hole punched it so that it just sticks out slightly, so that I can use it as basically a page divider. And I put this where the date is, so I can open it with my thumb, and because it's see-through, I find that better than a ruler, because the ruler isn't generally see-through, although some are. But I also find that this means there's no, I call it the ruler ridge. So if you turn over with a ruler and write on the next page, you can feel the ruler when you're writing. Whereas this, using a pocket as a divider, works well, because you can write on the other side. Okay, let's talk about some advantages I've jotted down. There may be more. The first one is cost. Now there are 80 sheets in here. Those 80 sheets, if I were to extrapolate the cost from a ream of Clairefontaine 50 GSM paper to fill this binder completely, and it's going to be very, very similar size to many other mini binders, 11mm rings, 80 sheets, 20 pence. In today's money, as I record this in August 2024, 20 pence. And I'd love to try some, don't get me wrong, I'd love to try some, and it's reputedly sensational quality. Plotter's own paper is slightly thicker at 60 GSM, but to have 80 sheets of plotter paper in here, as I record this, £6.80, and that's assuming we ignore the shipping cost from either America or Japan. £6.80. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. With another well-known UK-based binder manufacturer, their paper is a similar price. So if you think about it, if you're using a lot of paper, my question to you is, notwithstanding the fact that if you're earning a lot of money, then it's cheaper to save time and just buy the paper ready-made. I totally get that. But let's ignore that, for instance, and just say, would you prefer to pay 20p for this amount of paper or £6.80? It's a huge difference. And also there's the other elephant in the room, that shipping paper, sheets of paper halfway around the world, when you can make your own and it's made in France, and so it's not the paper miles. We've heard of food miles, but there's also paper miles, if you like, from an environmental impact point of view or perspective. The French paper is probably better. It's kinder to the environment. But I'm using this 50 GSM paper, which allows me, technically, I haven't worked it out, but if Plotter say that their own paper, which is 60 GSM, you can fit 80 sheets, then you can fit a few more perhaps in here if you're using Clairefontaine 50 GSM paper, for instance. So that's the first thing. That is the first advantage of you making your own diary. Secondly, start at any time of the year. Now, you could go to a well-known personal organiser company here in the UK, and you can actually design your own. They've actually got a service actually called Design Your Own, in inverted commas, and you can create a diary that starts this month and goes to July 2025. But there is a premium price. Now, some people would love that. I think it's quite expensive. It's certainly a lot more than £6.80. If you're going to do a day per page, that's a huge sum, So with making your own diary sheets, you can start when you like. Big advantage, in my opinion. Thirdly, no wasted space. Well, let me explain about that. Let's go back to this. There's no impediment to writing. Every box is more or less the same size, and I've deliberately written the date here vertically and hidden it inside the rings here, so that it doesn't encumber you when you are writing. That is an empty space. It's a blank canvas. Now, if you go to, let me have a look. this is one I prepared earlier, as it were. But if you look at this, this is a diary from Filofax in this case. It's actually it's 28 years old. And it's it's a week on 2 pages. But on each of these pages, you've got a huge amount of space dedicated to previous months, so you can like a ready reference. Well, I prefer not to have that. You've got here, it says end of British summertime, and then it's got an asterisk saying subject to confirmation. I mean, if that's not a WTF moment, I don't know. Then you've got the date in terms of the year, 1996 in this case. Now, when I'm writing this, I'm well aware that it is 2024. And it is apart from a few days when I change over to 2024 from 2023, and I think, oh damn, I've written 2023 instead of 2024. After a few days, maybe 2 or 3 days, I stopped doing that. I do not, in my humble opinion, I do not wish to be reminded that it's 2024 on every single page. I don't need it. And that just seems to be such a waste of time for me. It says week 43. Well, some people like that, especially in business, but personally, I don't need that. I don't really need to say October here, because if you think about it, look, there's about 4 millimeters of space there, in my opinion, that I would prefer to have for writing. And then you've got these diaries here. I invite you to go and have a look at, go to a well-known website selling these binders, personal organisers. Have a look at the mini size data per page diary, which is for sale. Look at, and I don't mean to be cruel, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to. Sorry, Filofax, but it is cluttered with a capital C. There's so much stuff on here. There's so much stuff. It is the data page is lines. You cannot get blank, and it's got individual timelines all the way down the normal business day, 8 till 5 or something like that, 8 till 6. There's just so much extra information that the amount of space that you can write on their pre-printed day per page version of this diary compared to this one is, I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible the amount of space that is used up. And of course, as we know, just here we have the maker's name, not as a brief reminder at the beginning of the diary, but every single page, it says, by the way, did you know this is the manufacturer? Can you please advertise for us? And then the next one, and next one, and next one. Every single page has, I mean, it drives me potty. So that is another advantage. There's no wasted space. Okay. Advantage 4. Extend as far as you like into the future. What do I mean by that? I have banged on before about the fact that if you, and I had a funeral, I had a funeral to go to in mid-January this year, very sad, and I would have liked to have jotted down in my diary and said, let's meet up in a year's time to have a memorial. Alas, I had to write a note. Why did I have to write a note? Because the manufacturer of that particular diary, nope, you can't have it in January. You can't have the 2025 diary for 12 months' time. No, you've got to wait till March or April, because maybe they don't have the shelf space, or they I don't know why I just genuinely don't know why makers of 12 months diaries sometimes make you wait until way into the current year before they issue the next year. Well, that is completely irrelevant if you make your own diary, because you can extend your diary as far into the future as you like, which I like. Advantage 5. Can you see that? Is it easy to read? I hope so. If you make your own diary, your own framework, your own template, then you have set it up exactly how you want it, without any distractions, without having to contort your writing into a space that may not be as large as you want, or in the right format, or there might be lines and really you want a blank page. I prefer blank pages. But if you are designing it, then it's going to be very, very easy to read, in my humble opinion. Advantage 6, and this is a biggie actually. You can choose your own paper. Now, a well-known diary manufacturer, Filofax in this case, they have some very, very good paper, and it's generally fountain pen friendly. That's what they say, and I found it to be pretty good with many inks. So full marks to Filofax. And they also make this cotton cream paper, which is I believe is 90 GSM. I think the normal paper is either 70 or 80 GSM. But I'm choosing 50 GSM. I could choose, and I will be testing it soon, maybe, 40 GSM, which is incredibly thin. Some people call it onion skin paper. Some people call it Bible paper, but it is very, very thin. Now, the advantage, obviously, is that you can fit more pages into a set of rings, the lower the GSM value. And that's one of the reasons why I like 50 GSM paper. It's good enough. It's not really fountain pen friendly, but at a stretch, it's okay. Probably not good for if you're writing a journal, but certainly as a diary, I use a fountain pen all the time. What was I using this morning? My Parker here, and it on here, and it worked fine, and there was very little bleed through. There was no bleed through, little bit of show through, but there we go. But you can use your own paper. You can use your own paper. Now, I would, if I was making a journal, it wouldn't be a mini size. It would be bigger, probably personal size, and I would use thicker paper. But that would be my choice. This paper is my choice. But what I'm saying is, when you order a diary from Filofax, most of the time, some of the time you get a choice of 2 types of paper. Most of the time you only get 1. And if you would prefer that Filofax print to be in 50 GSM, well, you're out of luck, because they're not going to do it. So you can choose your own paper, and crucially, you can choose the colour. So if you wanted yellow paper or green paper or pink paper, whatever paper you want, I quite like the old Filofax salmon paper, which you just cannot get hold of now. That would be my best choice for a diary format. But it is what it is. So you can choose your own paper. So that is a massive, massive advantage, in my humble opinion. Finally, number 7, advantage 7, pick your own advantage, which is a bit of a cop-out. But the reason I put that there is because I am sure that you, as viewers, can think. You'll probably say, Neil, you haven't thought of that. You haven't thought of that. And there's that, and there's that, and there's that to consider. There must be many, many other advantages to making your own diary or to-do list. But in this case, I'm talking about my diary. Just pick your advantage and run with it. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.